Hey folks, good morning. Welcome back to Markelly Farm. We have a beautiful morning even though it's overcast. Nice and cool out here. Me and Matt are out here having our coffee, and I'm doing a little work in the garden while it's nice and cool. I apologize for the wind, but just doing some maintenance stuff here in the garden. Thought we'd bring you along. So we're coming down through our San Marzano row here, and I'm training the tomatoes up onto our cattle panel. And I'm also clipping off all of any of our lower limbs because when it rains it splashes up and they'll get diseased on those lower limbs if there's any disease in the ground, which there always is. So we're just going down through here doing that, and then I'm going to come through on our Brussels sprouts and we're going to trim off a bunch of the lower leaves on those too, and then some of our squash with the dead leaves on the bottom, we're going to cut those off if we still have a grow point. We still have 3 good plants that are producing after the hailstorm, and then we have our tomatoes down there on the end too. But the garden's looking good all in all. Even with 2 hailstorms, things are starting to grow good. You can see all the melons out there are starting to spread out into the row. We've been picking cauliflower and broccoli, and our peppers are doing fine over there. Our onion row's looking beautiful here. We'll have some beautiful onions coming out of here. But let's continue on these tomatoes. We just come in here with our clippers, clip off this lower stuff. It doesn't hurt to prune tomatoes. You can prune them pretty much all year long. Doesn't hurt them at all. I usually prune stuff like this, and anything that comes out really crazy out into the row that's unruly, you just clip it off. It doesn't hurt nothing. So a couple more little limbs down here, and we'll get tying this thing up. That looks good enough. So take this top piece here that's still growing and just kind of tuck it through the cattle panel like that. And then this one over here we can tuck over here. Now if it's a little tall, don't try to put it down through here, just kind of tie it over, because the upper parts of these plants are really tender and you'll end up breaking them off. Not that that'll kill it, because every one of these little suckers on the plant will grow a new stem if you lose your main stem. But this one here doesn't need much tying. I'm just going to tie this, one of these kind of main branches, over. The rest of them have looped through just fine. We'll just put a little tie on here real quick to hold that one up. And that'll help the rest of them stay through there also. In case the wind comes up, it won't blow back out of there. There we go. And we'll look one more time for any low limbs. I think we pretty much got them all. And then while I'm down here, if I see any little weeds that have popped up, I just take care of them while I'm here. And we're ready to move on to our next plant. To show you how resilient these tomato plants are, this one had its main stem broken from the hailstorm, and it just grew 2 new main stems, and it's already doing what it needs to do, going through the panel. So we don't need to tie this one yet. We might have to tie this one here a little bit later, but if we can catch it, we can just weave it through as it goes. But these indeterminate tomatoes, they'll just keep on chugging. When you're tying your tomatoes, don't use anything rigid like wire ties or plastic ties. Use this tape. It's stretchy tape, and as that vine grows and gets larger in diameter, that tape will actually stretch with it and won't cut it off. So this plant here knows the drill already. All I did was prune a little lower stuff. It's already growing perfectly up into the panel. So just got a few more in this row, and then we can do our slicer tomatoes We've got some doing well, but this one over here is kind of laid over. It's going to need help. This tomato plant here has got our first little San Marzano tomato. It's a bushy little son of a gun. We're going to have to trim off quite a bit on the bottom there. Okay, there's the kind of the before and after. We pruned all this off of that plant. Had a big old limb growing out here in the row. The rest of the plant's doing what we want it to do. So we pruned off that pretty big limb there. The tomato that's there was on the right limb. We were able to save it. So that's going to be coming up through the trellis now. Now this slicer tomato is doing really good. Probably the only thing we need to do, maybe put a tie on this one, get it over to the panel, trim off the low stuff. This one, however, needs to be stood up. So we'll do that with a tie wrap. Oh, got some lamb's quarter growing down back in here hiding behind the tomato. Get rid of those. So we're just going to stand this tomato plant up like this. We'll tuck this limb underneath here and that limb underneath there and just tie him over. Leave this little limb on this side. I'm going to put one more tie on this one here. Now this plant here is a good example of weaving. There was some stuff that was on the other side and stuff that was on this side. So the stuff that was on this side we weave through that way. The stuff that was on the back side we weave through this way. So it'll lock itself in there. Now our slicer tomato here, this is the one that needs lots of help. We'll show you before and after on this one. But it's just laying over kind of from the wind. We've got quite a few green tomatoes on here, so that's cool. This will be our first slicer tomatoes that we get. Now this branch here, as I tried to stand it up, broke off there at the base. So we're going to take this completely off. There was no tomatoes on this one, so that got lucky there. So we're going to try to stand the rest of this up without hurting it. Okay, there's our after shot. Looks a lot better and it's up off the ground. Got it tied to the trellis. So all of our tomatoes are done now. So all we got to do is come out maybe a couple times a week. And as it grows, we just weave it through the panel. Now that we're on the panel, it's going to make it real easy. So next thing I want to do is go through. We're going to start clipping Brussels sprouts. Hey Fred, how you doing? This is Freddy the frog. We got a few Freddies this year. They eat all the bugs in the garden, so we enjoy having them. How you doing, Fred? You gonna jump for me? Yeah? So there's what they look like once they're trimmed. They'll continue to grow vertically. So we're going to give all this to the chickens. They will love that. So the rest of that row down there and a few other odds and ends here and there, still need to do those. You see our beautiful cabbages are heading up. You can see down here how this one's got some insect damage. There's one of our little culprits right there. So we'll dispatch him. Chickens will love him. But they do get some damage, but the internal head is good. I'd rather have them chewing on the outer leaves out here than the head itself. Once you harvest the head, pull a couple of the outer leaves off, you've got a real good head of cabbage. But our green cabbage is doing well. Now you can put like 7 dust on these cabbages to kill these worms, but it's an offset there. Do you want chemicals on your vegetables, or would you rather deal with just a little bit of bug damage? I'll take a little bit of bug damage anyway before I go sprinkle chemicals all over my vegetables I'm going to eat fresh out of the garden. Well, we got all of our Brussels sprouts pruned off, and you can already see along the stems where the sprouts are just starting to develop. So I'm going to clean all this up for the chickens. I'm going to clean up all the tomato prunings because I like a clean garden. And then we're going to come over here and address some of the squash plants. Got all of our Brussels sprout leaves picked up. Ruby, you don't get to be in the garden. Out. Good girl. So we're going to go over and make some chickens happy with this stuff. Bon appetit, girls and cat. They're going to love this stuff. Already going after it over there. And having chickens on the homestead is a real benefit. It's a real plus to have them. They can take any of the refuse from the garden, turn it into food. They absolutely love it. They give you eggs. And if you free range your chickens, if you have an area where you can do that, you almost don't need to feed them. You just provide them a little scratch treat every now and then, and they'll find their own food. But we really love having chickens. It's a wonderful hobby for Kelly. She really enjoys it. Let's get after these squash. I think our squash took the worst hit with the hail. Some of them will be fine, some of them will not. This one lost its growth point, and so did this one. Now this one pulled through, but you can see some reason recently, very recently, the grow point of this squash broke off. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was the wind or if Ruby got into the garden at one point and just mowed over the top of this thing. But the growth point, which has all the new tender leaves that come up, has been broken off. So that pretty much dooms this plant here. So we can write that one off now too. We've got a couple others. Good morning, Ramona. How are you?
Good.
She come to visit Papa out in the garden. This one here is also doomed. So these ones that are pretty much dead, I'm going to pull out. These other ones that are still producing, we'll leave in. This one still has a growth point on it, but it looks a little worse for wear here. So we'll trim off this bottom stuff. We'll leave the top growth point, see if it's going to do anything.
Is this what Dad do?
I'm not sure. It still's got some green to it. And it's not so late that we just can't plant some more zucchini. But we've already harvested a load of zucchini out of here. So we'll probably poke in a few more plants here and there just to get us through the end of the season, but generally a couple plants will do it for us. Got our zucchini patch cleared up here. We'll see what this one's going to do. Looks a little sickly, but it's still growing up here on top. We pulled out a couple of the other bad ones. This one here still has its growth point here in the middle, so we've got high hopes for this one. And then these other two are doing fine and producing zucchini currently. The other thing we did is we came down the row. Some of our melons were growing out into the row. What I do is I just tuck them up onto the row so the runners go out along the row instead of out into the walk path. We did the same thing with the watermelon down here. If the wind blew it back into the walk path, so we'll just straighten it out a little bit, but probably have to do that again. We also did this with the honeydew melon. That about wraps up what we needed done in the garden out here. We watered yesterday, but all in all, the garden's looking pretty good. I'm pleased with what it's looking like this year. There are a few weeds here and there, and I can't have that. So I'm going to go out, get my little hoe, and do a quick trip through the garden. And it looks like Ramona's coming to help. Are you going to help weed, Ramona? Good girl. She's got her little hoe and she's going to take off. I'm sure we're violating some kind of child labor laws, but Ramona gets paid in snow cones and blizzards. Do you like your salary?
Yeah.
Well, even though Ramona is on her break time that is mandated by the local 31 flavors probably, we got the garden done pretty quickly. So everything's back in order for a few more days, and it'll take care of itself. Now we're heading into town. We're going to go, Thursdays in town is Market on the Square here in town. So we're going to go in and do that. So come along with us. We'll show you Market on the Square. Alright, we have arrived at the square here in town. Market on the Square. There's not too many vendors. The bakery lady over here is really good. The Mennonite lady. Got a couple food trucks out on the road. Got the Secret Garden wagon here. So we're going to walk around and see what's up. Got some nice woodworking stuff here, products. Nice cutting boards. Really cool stuff. Got a little bit of produce here, some tomatoes and onions. Stuff kind of early in the year. There's some pickled eggs and quail eggs. Some freeze-dried items. Some crocheted items. Here's the little scrubbies you use in the sink. Some jams. And some more jams down here. Matt's getting a taste. What flavor?
Soap weed.
What is it?
Soap weed.
Tastes good.
Soap weed?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Try that.
Got some more jellies and pickles. Got some peach butter here. Different stuff. Got some cookies for sale. And here's the good stuff over here. Got some Wisconsin cheese. These rolls are fantastic. Very good bread.
Cheese curds.
Got some more beautiful bread down here and some more jellies. Butter pecan scones. Those look amazing. Alright, we got all done down at the square. The wind's coming up. We got to watch for thunderstorms this afternoon. We had lunch at the Tumbleweed. Now we're going to go up and see Mom. I got a new puzzle for her. See how she's doing. Alright, we're in with Mom. Mom's got a Ramona drawer down here with a whole bunch of goodies and stuff for Ramona. But here's Mom. A lot of you been asking how she's doing. How you doing, Mom?
I'm doing great.
Good deal.
No complaints.
We went out and cut some lettuce that we planted in the garden the other day. It looks good. I think they're going to make you a salad with it.
Yep, looks good.
But we brought Nanny her new puzzle, and Ramona's grabbing stuff out of her drawer here.
Remember, you take it and put it in your bedroom where you have Papa's. Whatever you want. Is that it? You sure? I thought you wanted that candy.
No, I'm gonna take this too.
Well, we made it safely back to the farm. Looks like we may have some weather coming in tonight, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And we're going to start thinking about supper because it's about 3:30 and Kelly will be home at 5:30. So hope you enjoyed hanging out with us today. We certainly enjoyed having you with us. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at the farm.
Thanks for watching.